Ladies and gentlemen, you're back here with the PCS as per usual as we roll you out to the final game of the night. Quick reminder that we are sponsored by CWC Bank. Thank you to Right Games, Carry, and Garena for the league operation in full as well. Now, Mr. Chu, we've got one final thing to tend to, and that's Beyond and PSG. We've been waiting for this one considering that these two up towards the top of the standings and Beyond can lock in playoffs tonight if they're able to find this win.
Absolutely, and this is one of those first matches where we saw PSG actually bleed. It was a very close game. They were winning 90% of the way, but one teamfight mishap. Beyond Gaming caught their chance and then flipped the entire tables around. So I feel like this is one with a lot of history. You know, Beyond Gaming has always been kind of the first team to draw blood from the PSG dynasty.
And even recently, right, like, they've found some pretty big wins. CFO in week number 3 is one of them. They're on a loss streak of one game after losing to CFO in the recent game. However, I feel like, yeah, you're right. You know, Beyond Gaming has some pretty familiar names. We remember them representing the region in past World. And with the way things going, Clement, I don't know where you want to start on this one, but I feel like for Beyond, we've had a lot of fun times, you know, talking about Husha in jungle, Lakai's top side, even hell, like Minji's champion pool at some point.
I feel like Beyond Gaming has definitely been through a lot of rough patches since the departure of Dago from the roster. I would say they're not really the same team as we saw last year around going to Worlds anymore. And the problem are manifold, to be honest. Like, I feel like they haven't been able to actually play a 1-3-1 all that much. And what they've been doing is they've been relying on these great engages coming in from Husha. I think Husha has actually quietly been having one of the best splits of any jungler out there. And also the damage output from Wako. So those pieces are still intact. You see the mid-jungle coordination, I would rank among the top of the PCS. I think Uniboy and Kongya, you still have to give that duo probably the top spot. But afterwards, Husha and Minji are definitely within that top two conversation.
That's a big statement, because I feel like Minji was someone who I was on the fence about in spring. And come summer, you know, there's those champion pool issues I don't think have been talked about as much. But, you know, here's a mid-jungle that needs development, needs a bit of time, Clement, because with PSG, now that there's no Juhan and Bay, we once again have 2 more Korean imports. Gory in the last game was just all over the place on his Yone, and Bury on the Poppy. Oh, I got to give some negative thoughts across, because the easy wall dash, Clement, and he somehow manages in a 3v2 dive bot to get the heroic shove through that gap on the right side of red side turret.
I will say Bury is basically a keep away bot. His main function is to use Crescent Guard and Keeper's Verdict. If he can hit those two, the team is absolutely fine. I'm sure he's had some mechanical mishaps here and there. But what we've been seeing from PSG is very much the same thing. I actually feel like this meta suits them very, very well. Sure, they lose the Corki, but Silas Azir are still there. And then you have Gnar plus the Gwen, which in some ways have even been stronger coming in for Hanabi. So I don't really see much of an issue with his team composition. You even have more diversity in the AD carry spot for late game carries going towards Unified. So I feel like they're just in such a strong position.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people will be favoring PSG coming through nevertheless. Looking at mid laners here and speaking a bit about champion direction, for PSG, we know Gory has been an Azir player through and through. The Yone was a bit of an off game, a bit of a different direction here for the mid laner, who plays very standard. While for Minji, we talk a lot about his Lissandra, the Silas, Talia, things that can move around the map, Clement, things that can make more, I guess, faster impact in the game, rather than sitting back like Gory tends to do.
Yeah, if you look at Minji's champion pool, I don't think this is super indicative of what he plays best. His best champion by far career-wise has been the Zoe, and then we have seen other champions like the Yone being played. Silas is a huge one that I think will come up in the draft by either side. And overall, Minji is that sort of backline assassination-oriented player. You know, he's a big Kiana player in his debut split as well. So I feel like Silas is probably the best champion out of any of those that is still existing in the meta pool. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Beyond Gaming actually just first.
Well, I mean, honestly, for PSG, maybe it comes through to a ban because Talia's already taken away. Husha losing his best champion in the Wukong as well. 66% win rate with 6 games played. And as you said, Husha's been on a bit of a tear, so paying the respect necessary while Furry's Poppy, I am quietly glad, Clement, even if he's an alt bot, that we don't get to see it again. But at the very least, you talk about Silas. Let's see if it gets banned away. Otherwise, as we've seen today, teams are willing to first pick it, among other things, with quite a lot still available.
Today we've seen the Zeri and the Yuumi being first picked. Sivir has not gone through as a first pick just yet, but it's super flexible, and honestly, I feel like she's somewhat replaceable in terms of the role of Zeri. So, yep, Yuumi first pick. This is Beyond Gaming has actually played quite a few games of this competition where you go in with short range bruisers. It works well with Silas. It works well with the Wukong that Husha has played the most of. But for PSG, I feel like this is kind of a straight dunk. You just take away the Zeri and you take away the Silas and just kind of move on with your life.
or even go the direction towards top side, right? Hanabi has played so much Gnar. But even more important, what a takeaway it would be, because Lakai, 6 games on Gnar, 1 on 4 other champions. PSG might be looking to take away part of the duo, so while there's so many of them, at the very least, taking away Wako and Kino from having that dream 2v2 that has also done pretty well today. But, Clement, I will say, Zeri Yuumi also an easy duo too.
Yeah, and when you have the Silas, I feel like the Sivir makes a lot of sense. So the difference between these two champions, yes, they're both super mobile, but with Sivir, you put yourself in more danger. You're definitely shorter range of a champion. However, if you're running in with a bunch of divers, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Like, you're all going in, and it's very difficult to focus all of you down at the same time. So if you have the Silas, I do like the pickup of the Sivir here. I think on second thought, it does make a little bit more sense compared to Zeri, and it does force Beyond Gaming, I feel like, to play in a different fashion. If the enemy team is clearly going for a rundown, Beyond Gaming have to spread out. They have to go for split push, they have to go for pick or something, but they need to have a different track here. Akali is one of Minji's old and greatest champions. It's been a while since we've seen it, though.
But how's it going to go up against this Silas in the mid lane? And more importantly, what's the jungle that's going to go through with it? For now, we just get part of the engage that, again, Nautilus against Akali, Clement. Also a nice touch here from PSG.
Yeah, very difficult to play against that one. I feel like even in this matchup, like the Silas does get quite a favorable edge later on into the game. What we're really looking at is the potential for, I think, assassination against champions like Kale coming in later on into the draft, which both have been played here by Hanabi. So I think that's what Beyond Gaming are aiming for. For me, this is looking like some sort of a pick hop coming in from Beyond Gaming. They have great tools to get over walls. You can hop onto someone like the Akali just with the Yuumi and just try to find your picks that way.
Lakai's played things like Gwen, Camille as well. And with, angles being in the conversation for Beyond Gaming, I wonder if there's going to be a pivot here because, Clement, top lane bans coming out from BYG, but remember the PSG had first pick coming through. The Gnar we already labeled too, which is still there. And I guess PSG can just still take that away if Beyond Gaming aren't willing to ban it themselves.
Yeah, I feel like they should probably ban it. I think Beyond Gaming, they're probably eyeing for either Camille or Sejuani, something with fast engage that can help them facilitate. So far, they have good damage, they have great carries that can go over walls, but they're still lacking in the instant engage department. So I think it has to be either of those two champions. And they're actually going to ban the Vi from themselves. Interesting.
Okay. So, now it's there. If they want to get this,
I think for PSG, probably just Gnar is still the best option right here. I would snack up the Gnar instantly. Lee Sin, I'm not sure that's a Buri champion necessarily, but it keeps in the theme with just keeping threats away from their carries.
True. A lot of disengage there as well. So we get a top lane counter pick for Hanabi. That's, I guess, worth mentioning here. Even though you don't consider Hanabi like, that insane top laner, that kind of like the YSKM rest vibe, right? you know, we're not there with Hanabi, but we know he's a solid laner that can be quite flexible. So as we get Trundle on the other side, we get a jungler that can deal with the help of pick here, Clement. I feel like for BYG, look how many tools are available. What do you round us out with?
I'm honestly not a huge fan of the Trundle. Sure, good matchup against the Lee Sin, but the engage on Beyond Gaming is so incredibly conditional. I don't think they're going to have to find many chances to actually engage themselves. It does look like Corgi is a little bit threatened by this one, thinking about what to take for the top lane. I honestly feel like they could just go with the Sejuani. Sure, it's not as strong in lane, but all you need with this composition is just a front line to push with. So I feel like Sejuani's perfectly fine.
True. Simple, up Hanabi's wheelhouse as well, and we get Sedge in the end. It's so funny, like the East right now not playing the Ornn, Clement, where in the West, people are like, oh man, Ornn is so good. And no one in the LPL, no one in PCS will touch it. Like Hanabi's played it once. Sejuani better option, and yeah, I mean, standard from PSG, as you were saying, Clement, disengaged now from Buri's Lee Sin, but I think you're kind of angling to the point where we're going to expect a 5v5, a pretty standard.
Yeah, I think PSG at the end, they drafted themselves still a very standard composition. Sure, it's shorter range than what they normally go with, but the idea is the same. You have very strong tank lines, you just push through into the opponents, and if Gory gets a chance, he's going to be in your back line just assassinating people. For the composition of the side of Beyond Gaming, I actually feel like they switched tacks to a composition that I'm not particularly fond of in this meta, and that's a kiting comp. What they have, they're going to try to slow you down with the pillar. They're going to take away those resistances from the Sejuani, which can be very deadly. They're going to try and focus her down and just slowly kite away. The problem with this composition is I don't think the Akali does much in the first part of the fight. Like they're solely relying on the Gnar and Zeri to kind of chip away at their opponent as they walk backwards from the team fight. So I don't think it's a comp that necessarily fits together all of that well. We'll have to see how this plays. I will concede that for Beyond Gaming, a lot of the times I do not like their comp, and they still come out and out-execute their opponents anyway.
True. I mean, BYG, we talked recently, like having the number of PSG, it is a revenge matchup for PSG Talon here and a way to keep BYG from locking in playoffs here today. Remember that if BYG get this matchup, if they win this final game of the night, they will be our 5th team locked into playoffs. J-Team not even playing this week, and they've already locked in position number 4. So BYG want to join them up, as Frank Esports were denied earlier on as well. Welcome to the last game of the night. Here is Wako. Here's your surprise, and Kaiwing going to spot him out. Is it going to be a flash? Redline on the edge, and the auto lands as well. Wako nowhere to go, and the Lee Sin with first blood. Kaiwing, absolute world class.
Absolutely beautiful angling of that dredge line. He actually aimed it away from the wall so the hitbox wouldn't collide early, and manages to snag Wako, and that's first blood going over towards a Lee Sin as well. Wow, what an incredible play right there. You know, Lee Sin getting that extra 10 damage does make his ganks that much more deadly.
And also gives you a reason to not like BYG's comp, but actually have more of a reason, Clement, in the early game too, right? You know, Zeri down as well against his Sivir lane. Now, no summoners were burnt from Wako, which is nice. But at the very least, the gold, as you said, going to the Lee Sin is good. As sure can flip from Minji landing early, but he's in the minion wave, takes a sizable trade. And Gory should have himself an opportunity to try and hit 2 here first, as we notice that the ward's going to spot out PSG's jungler. Buri is on the red buff, now moving down to Raptor camp. So they know that this Lee Sin is not down towards bottom lane.
Yeah, both sides do know where the jungle starts are, so that just means I expect no lane ganks to really work out. We're going to have a bit of a farming start coming into this one. And talking about where the first real point of action can be, I feel like Beyond Gaming are actually very much on the back foot. None of these lanes are easy to gank. Not a lot of crowd control to follow up here. So I feel like PSG, even just 3-6, has a lot more opportunities to go wherever they want to. And you also can get some sightings of Bury mechanics. I know you weren't a fan of his popping mechanics, but maybe he can wow you with Lee Sin.
Yeah, and you know what, Clement? Like, to be fair, you know, you remember last time we cast together in the PCS, I was complimenting Bury because I'm like, you know, I feel like this guy doesn't get too much credit, and to be fair, he's such a supportive member when you look at the rest of the talent on PSG, but when he has a bad performance, it's so much easier to spot out because, you know, PSG, like, it has been about getting these new parts to work together. Kind of like they had to do with Juhan and Bay. Remember that Juhan and Bay at the start of the spring split were not great either, Clement. They had to work it in as we get a jungle v jungle matchup, but Kaiwing's already moved around. The level 2 Nautilus here to help out. While Minji can't do too much with Gory having the level advantage. Smite goes down and it's over to Bury, who takes the rest of the camp too. Husha has to walk away in defeat, and Bury gets to walk away across mid. Set up for the topside scuttle as well.
Ooh, and PSG are sending support up towards the top side, like you mentioned, still angling for the double scuttle play as we have Unified coming back with an extra buy here. So a lot of smart plays being done. I'm not sure the Trundle can walk into this river and just chomp down on this scuttle. This is going to be rather risky. You have Kaiwing around here, still looking for that gank.
So patient. He's so patient indeed. I think Minji, did he get vision of him in the end? Yeah, they did. So
yeah.
Pinged out as he roams back down. And because Husha's now down here, he'll be able to get the bottom side scuttle. So early roaming from Kino too as he attaches himself to this jungler, while both AD carries are just by themselves in the lane at 4 minutes for a little bit.
Yeah, still I think a little bit more of a small win for Unified here as he does get the extra back. Already has the cull ticking for him. And as we expected, not a lot you can do in this lane. I just feel like Akali, a very weak laner. We have seen this from Minji. He loves to play this champion, and it was a must ban in spring. However, you still can't do anything in lane here. And in this comp, I'm just not sure how they're going to get their skirmishes to start. They just don't have hard crowd control.
Well, maybe it's just going to come down to pure lane mechanics.
Well, Minji could hit level 6 here.
Walking through, look, Lee Sin here to help though. Safeguard! What a bait. We were questioning the 2v2 through mid, and Bury and Gory shut us up.
Well, too easy, says Gory here, as he gets a little bit of help coming in from Bury, and they're able to just stun Minji as he goes for the shuriken flip there. Instant kill, and we have a very fed Lee Sin on our hands. This is tremendous kill threat coming in from Bury.
Look at this, Clement. Such a good play.
Oh, he flashed into that one.
Oh, no.
Unfortunate with the angle. It actually still could have worked right there, and if he hit level 6, he was out. So
yeah,
I think Gory just outplayed him almost by himself in that situation.
And look at the lane. Like, it was already going bad enough with what you were saying about the matchup, but 10 CS lead with now double amplifying tome. As you said, Bury in a great position as Husha has to burn the smite here on top of Raptors. But there is a level lead between junglers as Minji tries to walk down with level 6 now acquired. Bury deep, but with the Sonic Wave, he's out. Gory stealing and flashing. Gory! Okay, sir. Maybe feeling it from the last play.
Well, you got to get him Raptors. I think that's the only explanation I have right there. Yeah, definitely a bit of an overreach right there. I'm not so sure about that one, like what the thought process there was. But Minji, you know, even holds on to his ultimate, so that does give Beyond Gaming a chance to go back and visit that lane.
He has his though as well. So without flash, maybe there's a chance here as Bury still has his flash, and off the back of this dragon too. They'll be getting close towards getting that level 6. Half an EXP bar to go as we're back towards looking at mid. Look at Minji with the ultimate. About to be burned by Gory. One more execution, and he gets it. All right, who needs flash when you can style on the Akali with the Akali ultimate? Meanwhile, on the top side, Lakai with an ulti down. An opportunity for Beyond with a great pillar placement, and Hanabi has no flash to get out of this one. Helps steal with the minion wave to buy time, but Beyond Gaming finally on the board.
Alright, so at least Beyond Gaming get a bit of a win condition here. I can start to see where they might be going with this one. Beyond Gaming trying to look for a split pusher on the side of Likai, get PSG to react to that pushing lane, and maybe you can find your picks with Akali somewhere else. I think that's the general idea of this composition. still not out of the woods yet just because of how far behind they are in the lane. We're going to watch this one again. Minji loses the bone plating early on, still gets tagged by the Petricite burst here. And I feel like he's just a little bit too confident in this one. He still walks up the Gory, takes the Q, actually both procs there, and just falls down afterwards.
Look at the top side play as well. And pretty standard here, Clement Lakai with just the nicely timed ulti and Beyond bringing their jungle up. We come back to live though, and look at where Bury is. Surprise, surprise, with Gory, who I might say is having a pretty good laning phase. It helps when your jungler's ahead, Clement, but you know, Gory was one of the worst laners in the LPL by far on FPX. He's done a lot better on the PCS, and this game is also proof in the pudding.
I know this is not a logical statement, but I wish that it had nothing to do with the relative strength of the leagues. I just want to. But yeah, you know, I feel like Gory has, you know, we have seen him actually being beaten in lane by Mission and some of our other top mid laners here. But overall, just against Minji and stuff like that, perfectly fine. 3v3 now.
Yeah, Bury's in here with a 3v3. It's in their favor as Gory gets low. Minji jumps on in, takes him down. It's great, but Husha still living on as he flashes over the wall. Minji helps get the Yumi out as well. And Bury can't get the flash on in as Wako flashes over the wall. Bury has to flash as well, and Unified burns the hill to save him. Beyond Gaming's aggression comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, big find right there. Minji plus Yumi able to get into the back line and snipe out Gory. They know he doesn't have flash, so they target him right off the bat there. And that's a huge comeback because there was a shutdown gold involved in that one. A little bit unfortunate they weren't able to snipe out Bury, but they also get his flash there. So, you know, I always say this about Beyond Gaming compositions. I look at the draft and I kind of shake my head, and then they start getting kills on the Akali, and I'm like, okay, I guess it works.
Yeah, Minji with 0 and 2, now with the kill. Maybe a bit more believable here for the mid laner. And it was a perfect pickoff off of Gory and CS that he was able to catch up. But having said that, looks like there was a pretty large wave towards mid lane. So we're still at around the 10, maybe 15 CS mark, depending on how much he gets. At the very least, PSG, their gold lead that was there by about 1,000 and a bit has now shrunk. And Beyond Gaming, as you said, have crucial kills on crucial members. As we look back towards mid, Minji with a good Shuriken flip. But Clement, I'm now more curious as to what happens towards, you know, this next dragon coming up and the Herald that Bury still hasn't placed down.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to hold that for a fork. Most likely try to keep the Akali mid lane, so just drop it there and move towards the second Drake that's coming up. We're going to have a mountain here. I think the play is fairly self-explanatory, so I don't expect too much resistance for Beyond Gaming. I think Beyond Gaming can let the objective go, but the most important part for them is finding picks as PSG are about to go back to their own lanes. This is the Beyond Gaming special. Sometimes they won't hard contest an objective, they just want the better positioning to close out on kills afterwards.
That's true, especially with an Akali. Maybe gives us a bit more of an insight as Bury moves towards the bottom lane in the meantime. 45 seconds on Dragon as Kaiwing just stands there, threatens. Husha now here as well, and look, mid laners aren't involved for the time being, so as we get a bit of bouncing from Unified, at the very least, Beyond Gaming are trying to play for the bait, but that ward going to spot out Husha as Bury moves back towards mid.
Yeah, an interesting move here by Beyond Gaming. They're trying to draw Bury back into the bottom lane by just hard shoving here, but Husha has to be careful walking through this area as we have to pay close attention to Silas that does have priority so far in the mid. So could potentially be pincered right here. Beyond Gaming slowly moving over. And I feel like Bury actually hesitated a little bit. I don't feel like the play was to drop bottom anyway. I feel like you should try to get the Herald down now that the Drake is live. Try to place it. It looks like they're still going to go for bot this time, I guess.
I mean, maybe the hesitancy comes through the fact that Hanabi doesn't have TP, but Lakai does. Worth mentioning with the second Dragon there as well, as we get the ulti, the lost chapter out of Wako, trying to find the pick off. Unified was abandoned. Kaiwing coming in late, but is the Ignite going to tick over? No. 320 gold dropped on down. Unified lucky to be alive, but in front of Dragon, that health bar means something. As, wait, are we doing this mid again? Gory has flash. Last part of the perfect execution gets close, but Minji still has his last proc, and mid lane continues to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, really weird move coming in for Unified. I'm not sure why he was staying behind, but Beyond Gaming picks up the freebie. The Herald was, in essence, somewhat wasted right there. They didn't manage to pull off a fork, and then you had Wako staying in lane picking up extra waves. Big win by Beyond Gaming. I just feel like that was Unified with a communication mistake of sorts. Let's see if Burry can find Ninja here.
But Burry doesn't have flash available, so waiting in that 10-second. Hoosh is here for the counter gank. Abscond ducked under turret, he has to flash. Gory, it started so well, but Clement PSG, this has just been opposite of clean.
Yeah, very messy. I would guess you could call it a pillar of filth.
There you go. Nice. Very nice.
A little bit unfortunate on the execution right there, and I just feel like PSG kind of squandering away some opportunities here. And this is actually quite critical because you're letting Beyond Gaming snowball this into a early mythic coming in from the Zeri, and you have that Yuumi starting to leave lane earlier. That can mean the skirmishes are a lot more dicey in the mid lane. Let's see if they can win this one as the Yuumi is heading there.
Kaiwing constantly roaming. I mean, Kaiwing has been here since level 2. The fact that Minji's been able to survive the majority still shows testament here to the mid lane, and there's been a focus for Beyond Gaming in this split. Behind CS, but that kill before means that he's been able to survive the lane a little bit closer. Clement, this early game has confused me, but as we start getting out of lanes, I want to point out there's an item advantage now here for PSG, who were able to pick up more turret plates. Everfrost, Burry's got his item, Hanabi too. So it feels like right now there is an advantage as we get a mid lane 1v1. Gory with his Gone ducked out. Look at Minji with flash ulti available, even with Burry coming in. Minji dodges away, goes to the side, jumps in, and he's dead. In an instant, Subject stolen as well, so Gory's now taking up as the Sonic Wave resonating strike turns into a double. What a response here from the mid jungle 2v2. Gory with a triple kill. And Clement, the Kai might be going Mega now, but there could be a Penta on the cards if Kaiwing pulls him in. Unfortunately doesn't. Triple will be enough though to restore confidence to PSG.
Oh, Beyond Gaming hard commit to that one, way overzealous. We saw sort of the Lee syndrome coming in from Minji. He goes in, but there's a Nautilus right there. So Unified, Kaiwing able to block out the majority of the crowd control coming in. Gory turns around with the Kingslayer, gets himself a triple kill. And in the meantime, Beyond Gaming also over-rotated. You saw the top lane and Aiden ending up in the mid lane. So massive loss here by Beyond Gaming. I just feel like they were trying to go for such a sliver of chance on that play, and it just didn't end up working out. Let's watch this. Minji goes in, instantly gets kicked away, interrupts the ultimate coming in. Great play by Burry, and even gets the Sonic Wave in the mid-air to finish off that kill. Beautiful stuff by him. This is by far, I think, Burry's strongest early.
Yeah, it is. Even though we saw hesitation a little bit before, like we're rounding back to what we've seen so far from him in this game, which is playing so well in some of these chokes, some of these crucial holds. Burry and Gory working well together as well. 6 out of 6 kill participation for that mid laner who just picked up a triple kill and 6 stacks on the Dark Seal. And now we kind of have to look at the gold lead again because PSG all of a sudden almost up 4,000 gold after one single play where Clement, they showed some of the weaknesses in their composition. We talked a lot about the situational engage. When you don't have the right reliability or the Gnar in the mix, like, look at all the counter punches that PSG can provide.
The engage was so slow. If they could have locked Gory down a little bit sooner, that would have been a situation where Minji would have been able to reset. He still had his flash. He could have gone out, looked for more fights. And that's why I was really just not sold on the Gnar or the Trundle. I don't feel like they had the elements that you want for burst damage. That's what you have to play with if you're going with the Akali Assassination. You need instant crowd control to give you favorable trades going down range. I just feel like this comp was, it's very difficult to execute. It's exactly what Beyond Gaming likes to draft, but sometimes it does come and bite them from the behind.
Yeah, it does. Look, at least the Kai's doing well. You know, he's going to get this turret up in the top side, matching here for PSG. The Gnar probably the strongest on the field, as you could also say Wako not in a bad position, but hey, look, Gory is now joining in to try and punch down Lakai, but doesn't actually use the perfect execution while Akai backs away. So right now we're waiting for the Dragon to come through, which is going to be in 10 seconds. PSG with so much power here. And Beyond Gaming aren't even testing the area.
I also want to point out Akali is the only non-support without a mythic at this point. So
Yeah.
Things have definitely not been going all that well. Yes, you are able to take this one while still defending around, not defending, excuse me, still holding on to the top side of the map. Second Herald already taken by Beyond Gaming in the meantime. I think they're just going to have to drop this mid lane, try to open up some more assassination routes right here. I think they're too far away from the bot lane tower at this point to really make use of it. So we have to pay pretty close attention to Husha and that timer. I'm not going to lie, we have seen some people just fail to drop heralds here. So
yeah,
you have to keep that timer there. I just expect it to go mid.
Open up mid lane turret, it means that some of that vision on the top side can expand for Lakai, who's being able to split push quite nicely. 20 CS lead up against Hanabi, which a lot of people would expect, but I'm not really paying too much attention to that now. Again, situational engage, as Clement said. Part of it is that Gnar, and how right now are you going to be able to save your carries from this Silas, because Gory is on the way towards the second item. Fetish Codex already picked up. Cosmic Drive, something we've seen quite a lot. Shadow Flame as well. But as we look towards bot, I might pause because Minji is going to get the all-in off of Hanabi. Glacier Prison used to buy time, but the pillar just zones him out and he gets shredded through. So Husha picking up his second kill while Hanabi is the focus.
Yeah, beautiful stuff right there. That's always the problem with Sejuani. And I do want to say that Trundle has been the traditional kryptonite to Flash Wolf team compositions, because these are teams that typically only run one tank in the front line. They're very susceptible to just having their tank stats stolen and then the rest of the composition rolled down. So maybe Beyond Gaming are taking a page back from the old history of Flash Wolves, which PSG on a large part did inherit.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like this, not the remnant, what do you call it? You know, when
the
they
successor,
emanate.
I think, spiritually.
Yeah. No. Perfectly said. Hey, Herald gets mid-charge, but doesn't get mid-turret. So, you know, second Herald, never too much of a fan of it. But I will be a fan of if we see BYG try and contest with this next Dragon. Because as we get to a pause, Mr. Chu will have to wait and see. You know what the problem is? Carly's not working out.
Nope.
So we're going to have to find out what's happening there. We'll just wait and see.
I think that they have to target someone other than Sivir in this one. Sivir's a little bit too protected. Nautilus is going to stand by her the entire fight. So whenever Akali goes over, it's just instant auto attack. They're going to tag Minji to the floor. I almost feel like they need to take down Buri first. Buri has that big takedown gold on him. He's relatively, you know, even with the Gore Drinker speaking, relatively easier to take down compared to the Sivir in the back line, especially with the Spell Shield right there. I think that's probably going to be the angle. We're going to have to see the Akali plus the Yuumi combo coming in.
I've just been told in my ear, though, BYG have got a technical issue. Thank you to our producer. So we're just going to wait and see if that gets resolved. In the meantime, you know, as you were saying, you know, Bury holding a lot of gold. The opportunity to punish Lee Sin, especially as we go on in. But I think we're going on in. Yes, we are. Technical issue resolved, which is good. Which means we get back to this one. So Bury with takedown gold. Also note that Gory, about 350 worth here for the bounty. As BYG move up to the top side, it's Baron o'clock at the very least to threaten and clear out some of this vision. And Clement, I always like looking at fast Barons, but I feel like for both teams, we're not exclaiming that it's going to be the quickest Barons we've ever seen, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. You know, Pepperoni Pizza doesn't do great against Void Monsters, so we're going to have to save it for later there. Oh, actually, I mean, this isn't the pizza one. It still looks like Pepperoni Pizza.
It's I think it's Hextech, Sivir, isn't it?
My bad.
No, but yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like a pizza at all, but hey, you know, maybe you haven't had a pizza in a while, Clement. Yeah. So I know what you're going to get after the game. I will say that, you know, Sejuani does probably do a lot more damage than someone like Gnar, let's be real. Sejuani has pretty surprising Baron take, but again, as you were going along the lines of irrelevant at this point, more important about the Dragons coming in minute 45. More important about the vision setup here as well, because Kaiwing has just been looking every opportunity he could get. And as PSG continue to try and choke out vision, Clement, we talked about this, not even in the first 6 levels, but all game long. Look at the pick potential and the engage. As Hoosh is going to walk into a brush, here's one part. Kaiwing's coming up, flash depth charge. There's another. Here's a third part. Thrown into the air. Hoosh takes everything, but eventually dies. The situational engage from BYG won't be enough as Lakai is by himself. Wako is free hitting, but it won't matter. Gory runs forward. A good old shock laser, but Wako still can't carry the fight unless he gets enough time. As he runs forward, PSG to turn it onto a whim. Going to require a turnaround. Good poke again, but PSG got the pick on the jungler, and Husha gets absolutely smashed.
Yeah, and this is PSG playing so incredibly smart. If you look at their front line, they have a lot of armor right now. The Zanya's already done, and then you have Navi with the armor stacking as well. So, like, once Husha's ultimate goes down, Zeri can't really deal damage to them. Like, this is, you have to wait until Zeri 3 or 4 items, I would say, before this is really a threat. Husha walks in, finds Gory himself, unfortunately has to use the King's Tribute going in, the Subjugate going in onto Gory in the front line. And what a beautiful 1, 2, 3 punch coming in from the front right there. So Johnny, Hanabi, I would say, missed a beat right there. Probably could have killed the guy on that one, but
probably. Here we go again. Okay, Gory stolen away, perfect execution, good stopwatch, but he's going to be in the middle of everyone. Gets out with the final punch himself, and PSG clearing out this wave right before Dragon, doing quite a bit of damage, but remember, this team has a Yuumi.
Yeah, good sustain here. We saw Wako starting to hurt with that poke, so if he can find the back line, no, PSG know what the gig is up, and they just move the front line right in front in the mid lane. Really smart play here. They even keep the tempo alive by just being so close to the Baron here. So Beyond Gaming, no chance for a rush, and they still need to deal with wave clear.
And remember that engage not available. Lakai is not Mega Gnar. Kaiwing is the one with the dredge line as the pillar goes up to Unified. On the hunt's going to be popped, and the cooldown reduction now comes flying as he doesn't even get the Mega Gnar, Clement. Again, Hanabi misses the ult, but doesn't really matter. Let's be real. Might be lagging a bit here as Wako runs for his life, but PSG on the hunt because Beyond Gaming, no, he's the only one left. Chasing it up, BYG absolutely routed.
Beautiful stuff just coming in. I think this is the problem with Beyond Gaming is they're trying to play a kite comp against a Sivir, a Sejuani, and a Nautilus. I don't think you can kite even just a Nautilus, so I just feel like the draft really put Beyond Gaming in such a difficult position. I really think they needed the Sejuani on their blue side for the 5 pick. It would give them some chances to spring an ambush here, but look at how they have to play this. They have to wait for PSG to commit, and PSG don't miss. They go in, they finish the fight. The Mega Gnar, not really all that useful here. Unified is incredibly fed. Minji just gets absolutely just busted by Unified. And this is Wako trying to put on his dancing shoes here. Didn't work out very well.
No, it did not. PSG, I mean, I have to put it towards Kaiwing, towards Gory, you know, and to bury this game. Having such a clean performance. And it's really nice to see mid-jungle stepping up to this level as why did we get 2 different damage graphs? Which one's real, Clement? Because they're different values. Which one's real?
I feel like this one's probably real. They probably corrected themselves. You can see the problem with Beyond Gaming. They try to get it engaged and get 0 damage. Look at how long Hanabi's alive.
Yeah, and they just used everything. Now Kaiwing jumps on in, depth charge in the backline. Look at Wako, though. Gory, though, with the stolen Gnar ulti. Better than what Lakai's pulled out as Unified. Is a Sivir with ricochets galore, man. This is why Sivir's so OP. As guys, how many Pentas do we want to look to steal today? It's only a double in the end for Unified, but it's a strong double from the AD carry of PSG.
Oh, you knew things were going to go sideways once Hanabi was able to tank that entire rotation and still stay alive until Gory finishes the TP to clean everything up. Great stuff from Gory going into the back line, getting the snipe down. And then you had, Burry getting the snipe down, and then Gory charging in on the front. We'll watch that again. Look at Hanabi. He knows what's going up. He even gets tagged by the Trundle Subjugate, and he still stays alive for multiple ultimates being thrown here by Beyond Gaming. Gory's able to come in and just finish up, and you knew things were kind of getting out of hand at this point. It's not enough firepower on the side of Beyond Gaming.
Green jungler and Lee Sin, Clement. I just think it always kind of works out one way or another.
Yep.
Cleared a great example of that. And let's be real, Kanavi as well, one of the best Lee Sins. You look at bot flash from Kaiwing. The Kai gets out with a hop, but who cares at this point? PSG are 11,000 gold ahead. And Clement, this time you can be happy because for Beyond Gaming, the composition has shown us everything we need to know about their struggles this game.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I called it in draft. 4 and 5 from blue side, really suspect. I will say though, Beyond Gaming did have a comeback game that feels a little bit similar. They were much closer in gold in that one. But I'm just saying, has happened before. You know, you're always just one big mistake away from a turnaround. So I think it has to happen from the front line though.
But the problem is that as Gory comes in, are you even going to get the chance for this game to go on? Because even as it's a 5v5, PSG looking confident, stepping up for the pick, but backing away to make it safe. Who shot a pick off the back end? Excuse me, as PSG just have themselves a Dragon Soul to take maybe a Baron in 2 minutes 32. And a game to look to end and deny BYG from locking in playoffs. Minji with a close call, but Unified gets away in the end. I'm not even sure if you take that.
Down, but, you know,
I'm not even sure if you would have lived there, Clement, to be quite honest, even as an Akali.
That's very true. You probably would not have, looking at the items here. So, I'm trying to think about how Beyond Gaming can take this fight, because this is late game Sivir Online already. The Ricochet is going to kill the entire team coming in from Beyond Gaming, so they have to deal with the Sivir first in this instant, but also kind of avoid Corey. So, try to think how they're going to do this one.
Clement, you know why it makes it hard? Because Sivir now has a Cloud Soul. And with new Sivir, the fact that you can refresh your ulti with takedowns, right? You press your ultimate, and you are going to be sprinting at them. Now remember that new Sivir isn't giving her allies that initial movement speed burst. But that doesn't matter anymore, because Cloud Soul is.
They're going to have to run down what they wanted. So, PSG, as long as they stick together, I don't think there's any way they can actually lose this game. We are going to see Beyond Gaming try to put up a valiant fight, but I think that's the most they can get, a valiant fight. The flank is incoming, though.
It's so deep. It's so deep, and it's going to be met by Gory as wards galore surround. As Minji now going to get spotted out. I mean, PSG look for him first. Sure can flip over the wall, and there you go. Flank is done. While look at the ricochets. Healing comes through from Kino, which is great, but that forces them off the turret. Well, now we're going for Minji. Gory stealing away the perfect execution. And the final blow to be laid bare. He jumps into the base, threatens them off, and PSG have given nothing over. No significant damage. No sign of stopping in their tracks.
Yeah, way too easy to defend on that one. They try to pull Gory into a trap, get him into a 2v1, but Gory's too smart for that. He turns back at the exact right moment. And I feel like there's just so many ways that PSG could play for this one. It looks like they're going to go safe and pick up the second Baron of the game. Beyond Gaming actually have to look for potential TPs into their own base at this point. As you can see, double pinks being thrown into the bottom side. So, very slim chance of them even trying to contest this one.
Look, Clement, you know, we're just trying to give BYG something, but I don't know, with PSG being, you know, one of our best team fighting teams that we know that they're not super fast, they're quite controlled in how they close the game out. We know that for BYG, it's going to require more than a miracle at this point. Baron, Cloud Soul. All right, 3 minutes for this game to end with that Baron buff. This TP's using top by Hanabi, and they're just going to run it down mid with double inhibitor still open and putting pressure on BYG's base.
Yeah, you see Hanabi going top. I think he's going to hold the wave a little bit. Just wait for the rest of the members to catch up here. Shouldn't be trying to full push this. The best idea here is still to push mid wave in and actually converge on top. They could take the inhibitor here and then converge on top as well, but either way, it's going to be more of a topside play. We want the waves to hit at the same time. Indeed, Hanabi able to preserve the wave with the Baron buff, and this is Beyond Gaming's last stand.
Bounces infinitely now, as long as it gets to 8 bounces. Like, I just can't believe it. Unified helping with the turret top side, while Beyond Gaming now getting threatened. Next turret getting hit as well. Nice from Kaiwing as Minji's about to go Mega Gnar, but will they let him? As he's short to evolve, excuse me, not Minji with Mega Gnar. I saw the energy bar and thought, okay, but that's Lakai, of course. And Minji has to walk back to base. Next turret going to be threatened. The ricochets continue to be a pain. Unified steps up. Kaiwing and Hanabi threatening here, as this is so clean. Lakai goes to Mega Gnar, but Gory steals the Mega Gnar and does it better. The mid jungle this game has sold me. PSG looking red hot here as they deny BYG from advancing, from getting into playoffs. Yes, it's a nice Mega Gnar, but this game was in the toilet about 20 minutes ago.
16,000 gold at the end there. PSG get their revenge and tie the head-to-head. What a great game from Bury. I think he heard us and he wanted to showcase what he could do. Great game on the Lee Sin. He gets rolling early with 2 kills, never looks back into it. And I just felt like PSG were smarter in the draft. They stayed on the same track of playing front-to-back team fight from the get-go. Well, for me, Beyond Gaming, I really felt like Beyond Gaming shifted course in the middle of their draft, but didn't have a good out afterward. I feel like they got hung up on trying to take away the Gnar in this situation, while Gnar didn't really fit their composition.
Yeah, and we saw like, oh, maybe PSG will take it here on 4th, but then instead, just pick up the Sejuani, who cares, give counterpick to top side, also just give Hanabi options. And as you were saying early in the draft, Clement, we got Minji Zakali, but how it came together in 4-5, like the Trundle pick you didn't like, and as you just momentarily said, the Gnar as well. Like, situational engage, I don't think you could have defined it better, because it was so small of a window when you're going up against 4 members who have such hard disengage and such great setup with the layering.
Yeah, and what PSG showcased here is the importance of instant crowd control when you're trying to play these sort of assassin and burst type compositions. If you have instant crowd control, it just means you're going to get the damage off first. And in those knife fight situations, whoever gets the damage off first usually comes out massively ahead. You get the triumphs, and then you get to roll the rest of the team fight. So I felt like this game was really over once we saw the triple kill come out from Gory in the mid game. It was a flash engage coming in from Trundle. He had to stop people with Pillar. And then you saw the Akali trying to find the finishing blow over a Nautilus and a Lee Sin. It just never was going to work.
I mean, Minji was like 3-6 at the end of that game. Had a really rough time on the Akali. We got to see, that big response play mid for Beyond Gaming, but that was it. That was the only response we got from BYG, where Minji got a kill, he's 1 and 2. But then it happens again. Then Gory gets a triple kill, and it's all over, back to where we started. So really strong performance coming out from the mid jungle, where, I think I was criticizing a couple of weeks ago, Clement, where I was saying, like, Bury and Gory haven't been strong parts, right? It doesn't feel like, it feels like Gory has had really good team fighting and has been, I should rephrase, a great player for PSG, but it's still not that Gory that could take over lanes or have such clean performances alongside his jungler like we got today.
Absolutely. I actually think, like, if you go down the list of good mid junglers coming into our league, I would still say the top 2 you're looking at is most likely Kongria Uniboy and Husha and Minji. Of course, this game is probably not a great showcase of that one. But the reason we're saying this is because Bury's style is very non-interactive with his lanes. We rarely see these kind of 2v2 being played out. But this game, I would say, it was actually pretty good from the get-go. Like, once Gory got the push in, you saw Lee Sin show up in the Raptors. They took the first 2 rotations of the Raptors, despite burning a flash for it. Still got the Raptor in the end. So kind of worth it.
Such a pain. It was such a pain. Like, Bury was playing this Lee Sin so nicely first time this split, but again, I was saying, all Korean Lee Sins are just something else. And it feels like Bury hitting into that category this time. Unified's damage, Clement, of course it hits high. We knew that this Sivir did so much work, but so did Gory, who pounded Minji here in yet another MVP performance.
Yeah, just great stuff for him. Very, very solid engages. Was always on point in trying to go for the backline. Once again, we saw the sort of Gnar versus the Sylas interaction. He got far better Mega Gnar ults off compared to Leakai right here. And I think Gory is going to end up as the MVP of the split. We're already at week 5. I think it's a very high chance to say that. He's probably the best playmaker that we have in the league right now.
Yeah, he's definitely come up huge after his disappointing split on FBX. He's now tied first with Frank Esports, top laner YSKM. So 5 MVPs here now for Gory. An impressive feat for his debut year. And let's be real, Clement. Oh, sorry, debut split, right? Let's be real. For PSG Talon, they have the expectations of going back to Worlds, of going back to an international. Now 11-2, back on top. They beat BYG in the revenge matchup. They're going to verse J-Team, Frank, and CFO, but I still have a very good feeling about PSG Talon moving towards playoffs. As we look at our shortened day, Mr. Chu, and we still had a very good day. I think Game 3 was the most competitive. What do you think?
Oh, definitely not. I almost went along with you. I like the good traps here.
Hey,
I'm just glad we had so many hero plays. You know, Res on the Gnar and then Gory on the Sylas in the end. It was a fun day to watch. There were some wild ideas that didn't really work out, but I think we also learned a lot from those failed experiments.
God, man. Tell you what, like, all I can do is agree. Sorry, all I can do is agree. CDBC flying on to 6-win streak. That's my biggest takeaway from today. The Frank Esports game. Sad Frank couldn't get the win and get into playoffs themselves, but hey, that first game was still very entertaining.
Absolutely, and I do want to remind everyone we will be playing the matches that we missed this week in the next week. So for this week, always 4 games, but next week you're going to get plenty of PCS.
6 in total, so making up for J-Team there. So no J-Team tomorrow, but hey, we've got more potential qualifiers. Frank, if they can beat BYG, playoffs for them. BYG in the same boat. That is literally a playoff matchup, whichever way you put it. Oh, we're still kind of trying to vie for the top. I know PSG because PSG's matchup was against J-Team tomorrow, Clement. So as you said, going to be rescheduled for next week, which means they'll get a nice break.
Biggest match for me, as you said, Frank Esports over Beyond Gaming. My predictions at the start of the split was Frank are about to overtake Beyond Gaming. I feel like they have the stronger players, the better identity, and this is the time. They worked it out in the first round robin as well. I feel like we're heading for 2-1.
I do too. I mean, for Beyond Gaming, they're on a 2-loss streak. Frank Esports, I love how you talked about their identity being stronger. They are still one of my favorite teams to watch this split outside of maybe the usuals up in that top bubble. But Clement, it's been a pleasure to cast with you here on yet another PCS. Might be a shorter day, but your love is always long. Thank you as always. I don't know what that means, but thank you to our audience too. It is bye for now, but not forever. Go enjoy a warm bath. Why not? It's winter there. No, wait, it's winter here. You're not in Australia. Okay, bye.
It's 38 degrees today in Taipei, so probably
Don't go on a bath. Good night. No bath.